Again on page number 6. So let's go to that spot in your workbook, and you'll see at the top of that page a word, congruity. Congruity is the second principle of time management. Congruity is experiencing balance, harmony, and appropriateness with the events in your life. Let me say that again. Congruity is experiencing balance, harmony, and appropriateness with the events in your life. And when you're experiencing congruity, you know it because you just feel good. There are many things that can throw us out of control. We call those incongruities. So I'd like you to think for just a few minutes about the incongruities that are impacting your life right now as a business owner, perhaps a family person, your outside activities. What are your incongruities? Let me give you some examples of the kinds of things people typically list. Too many interruptions. Telephone calls, my commute's too long, I can't depend upon other people. The list goes on and on. I'd like you to reflect for a few moments, and in the lines provided at the bottom of page 6, would you list what you consider to be your 3 biggest challenging incongruities right now? Thank you. I'm going to make a suggestion. If you want to get control of your incongruities, the key is planning. But I'm not just talking about any kind of planning, I'm talking about a quality planning process. We have a definition of quality planning at the top of the next page, page number 7. Quality planning is going to a place of solitude, free of interruptions, where you can be alone for a period of time to write and think. You might be thinking to yourself, yeah, sure. Where am I going to find that time? Well, I've never met an executive who, if he or she really wanted to find some solitude time, they could not do it. It's there if you will look. Now, we're not going to count your shower time. Shower's a great place to think. It's a lousy place to write. So that's not a quality planning process. Here's what a lot of people do. They get up in the morning, they rush out of the door, they jump in their car, and they head for Starbucks, and they buy a grande of coffee or whatever it is they buy. And as they're driving to work, they begin to rehearse mentally all of the challenges, all of the frustrations, all of the things that are going to slam them when they get to work. And what happens is people have a tendency to awfulize and catastrophize their time management challenges. So that by the time they sit down at their own desk, they're highly frustrated and highly stressed. Guess what? They've done it to themselves. That is not a quality planning process, thinking while you're driving to work. Let me give you a picture of what quality planning is. It's going to a place of solitude, free of interruptions, where you can be alone for a period of time to write. Now that's what we've said. I've said it again. I want you to picture yourself in that position. Nobody can get at you. You're there in solitude. If you will find that time and not rush it, a wonderful thing will happen. Your subconscious will kick in. Your subconscious will begin to feed to you things you might otherwise have forgotten. Your subconscious will begin to feed to you the entrepreneur solutions to your problems. But it never ever happens if we just rush the planning process. When I was a young boy, I used to hear my mother say, well, I cleaned the house today. I just gave it a lick and a promise. Well, even as a young child, I understood what that meant. A lick and a promise means superficial, went too fast, was not effective. Don't give your planning a lick and a promise, because you'll honestly be cheating yourself from one of the most powerful elements of time management you'll ever discover. So there's a little graph there in the center of the page. Using our definition, would you please check the box that most applies to you? How many minutes a day do you spend in a quality planning process as we've described it? Over 30 minutes, 21 to 30, 16 to 20, 6 to 15, 1 to 5, or Zippo? Now, would you like to know what the national average is? You've probably already guessed. It's 1 to 5. And I believe it's closer to 1 for most people. Does this make any sense at all, that people would begin their day by spending less time planning and organizing their day than it takes to brush their teeth? No, it doesn't make any sense at all. So I'm going to suggest to you the most powerful productivity goal you could ever write down. And there's a little amber space in the center of your workbook. Please write that here. Starting today, I will set aside at least 20 minutes every day to plan and organize my day. Starting today, I will set aside at least 20 minutes every day to plan and organize my day. If you'll make this a habit and practice it for at least the next 21 days so it really is a habit, I don't believe you'll ever want to go back to rushing out the door into the white water of the day. Now, down at the bottom of page 7, we have a quotation by Charles Kettering. Kettering worked for General Motors. He was the inventor of the modern ignition switch. And this is what he said about planning. I'd like to read to you his quotation. Perhaps you could follow with me. I expect to spend the rest of my life in the future. Now, wait a minute. Let's pause there for just a minute. How many people do you know who spend most of their life in the past? They think about past experiences, past things that happened. They have no control over those things, and they invest countless amounts of time and energy there. Time management is about focusing on the future. So here we go. I expect to spend the rest of my life in the future. So I want to be reasonably sure of what kind of a future it's going to be. That's my reason for planning. This is one of my favorite all-time quotations, because I know that where I am today has much to do with the kinds of planning I did or did not do in the past, and where I will be in the future has everything to do with the kinds of planning I do today. Planning is one of the most vital things we do as entrepreneurs, and we're going to work with you on some wonderful ways to plan and strategize how to run your business. You see, planning is about anticipating the future. That's why if you'll turn the next page in your workbook, you'll see the words anticipation of events. There's a little graphic there. I can predetermine an event, control an event, and make that event happen. That is very, very exciting that you and I have the capacity to do that. That is extremely exciting. That's the goal-setting process. So I'm going to give you a simple definition of a goal, and yet it is so incredibly powerful. A goal is a predetermined result. Or we could say a goal is a predetermined event. Now that makes you an expert goal setter. Why do I say that? Because I believe as human beings we're wired that day. Either consciously or subconsciously, you say to yourself all day long, what'll I do next? You visualize a picture in your mind and you move in the direction of the picture. So you see that time management and goal setting fit together like hand and glove. The two are absolutely inseparable. Time is the occurrence of events one after another. Goal setting is predetermining the future events. You cannot manage time effectively without being an effective goal setter. All of our goals don't have the same value, so I'm going to give you a definition for a priority. A priority is a valued goal. And prioritizing is ranking our goals according to value. Notice what we did not say. We did not say that prioritizing is ranking our goals in the order they'll be done. We didn't say that. With the kinds of chaos we face today, that would be pretty tough to do on many days. But prioritizing is ranking our goals according to their value. What that means is this. Maybe you have a simple little action list for today. And the last thing you're going to do today is have a conference call at 7 p.m. And yet, even though it's the last official business act you perform for the day, it might be the number one priority. So there are three simple definitions that are going to help us in our quest for managing time more effectively. Now, when you and I begin to predetermine events, focus on those events with our energy and our resources, we begin to experience the third principle of time management. Concentration of power. Before I give you this definition of concentration of power, I'd like to preface it with a statement. Everything we're doing in this course, everything, is designed to help you have better concentration of power. You look at any successful business owner, any successful attorney, any successful school teacher, any successful anybody, and you'll find that they have concentration of power. So here's the definition. Concentration of power is the ability to focus upon and accomplish the most vital priorities. Let's look at that again. Concentration of power is the ability to focus upon and accomplish the most vital priorities. And that's not always easy to do today in today's environment. Now, everybody I know has a magnifying glass story. Speakers use the magnifying glass story. Here's my version. I grew up next to a kid, his name was Lamar. And Lamar was always getting us in trouble. He was about 3 years older than I, just led me around by the nose. And on this particular hot summer day, Lamar wanders into my backyard, and he's holding in his hand one of the most amazing tools I'd ever seen in my life, a magnifying glass, demonstrating if you held this magnifying glass properly in the sun's rays, you could concentrate a tiny portion of the sun's energy at a white hot point on the back of your hand and just burn the daylights off the back of your hand. Every kid lined up to be burned. I think I went through the line 3 times. That's terrible. Do that again. And then we discovered you could start fire with concentration of power. What a day we had. If you want to metaphorically start a fire in your business and to fire up your employees, teach them to use concentration of power, because concentration of power is the overall arching umbrella of time management. Everything we do is to help us get good at this.